diamonds in the rough. NFL Draft Diamonds. Time to shine.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and today I have with me Eric Wilson, who's an offensive guard out of Harvard. How you doing, man?
Doing well. How about you, Jimmy?
I'm doing well. It's a great day. Can you just describe for our viewers a little bit about your overall career?
Yeah, so I grew up in Minnetrista, Minnesota, went to Benilde St. Margaret's High School, played offensive guard, tackle, center, played defensive line. In the recruiting process, I committed to Harvard very early, had Power 5 offers, Group of 5 offers, Ivy League offers, but knew Harvard was the place for me with how many offensive linemen they send to the NFL, the great academics, and then how I got along with the players and the staff in general. So it was a great fit for me. I've been at Harvard going into my senior year right now as a freshman, played in a few games, got a feel for what I was doing at offensive tackle. Sophomore year, the left guard spot was up for grabs. Went in there, won it, started all 10 games, and, just had a good experience, but knew I could do better. And that sophomore winter and spring is where I really developed and blossomed into a breakout player for my team. And as an offense, we've been running the ball really well. So junior season this past year was really good. Was a second-team All-Ivy selection, starting all 10 games at left guard. And going into senior year now, I was been named preseason first-team All-Ivy by multiple sources and preseason All-American by Phil Steele. So it's just been a great experience for me at Harvard, but a little unknown right now with the Ivy League season being canceled. So names in the grad transfer portal for May. So we'll see what happens there.
Right. So, we'll see what happens. Obviously, not just Ivy League, but obviously several conferences leagues have been moved, postponed until further notice, basically. So, so Eric, again, I have you as one of my top offensive linemen at the small school level. You talked about you being a guard there at Harvard and have been starting there for a little bit. What do you believe is the best part about your game in particular? What's the best thing you bring to the table?
Yeah, I think the best thing I bring is mobility as an offensive lineman to pull in the run and pass game, and a lot of physicality when doing so. So when I pull, very physical, and then very physical in the inside run game. As you can see on my highlight tape, it's what I love to do is get after it and finish people. But knowing what I'm doing on the field is huge too. So just being a cerebral player and knowing what's going to happen maybe before the snap.
Great. And what have you been working on this particular off season in order to, just to kind of take your game to the next level in order to better yourself?
Yeah, I've really been working with some other local college football players in my area for football skills. So pass rush, talking to them about what's hard for them to beat, what's easy for them to beat, trying to get a feel for that. And then working on just getting bigger and stronger in the weight room. I've always been a big and strong kid, but just even amplifying that now at 310 pounds. I'm feeling great. I'm moving fast. So explosive sprints to keep myself moving well, and then just really getting after it before having to maybe cut 5 pounds before the season.
Great. So, like you said, 310 pounds. Also have you in my notes about 6'4". So obviously that's a great size for a left guard.
Yep.
You talked a little bit about the weight room. So why don't you go ahead and just kind of fill me in a little bit about your weight room practices, maybe what your favorite exercises are in the weight room.
Yeah, I think my favorite exercise is definitely growing up. I was a big squat and bench guy, and I realize now after college, a lot more stuff is important, but I still love getting back to squat and bench. Squatting around 640. I always do 5 rep maxes, and then benching around 460. So it's feeling pretty good there. And then hang clean is something I hadn't really done until I got into college. It's been great. I feel like it's helped me a lot. My hang cleans around 350, 360 in there, and it's been really great. Our strength program at Harvard's been amazing. Coach James Frazier, just want to give him a little shout out. It's been awesome training under him for a few years.
Great. So we talked about the weight room. Let's just talk about the film room a little bit. I mean, when you're breaking down your opponent or maybe even yourself, what are some of the things that really stick out in the film room? What are you looking at?
Yeah, in the film room, just really trying to see. The first thing I look at is third and long, third and medium tendencies of a D lineman. So when they have their pass rush move set up and planned out in their mind, like what do they go to? So I know what to expect in those situations. Then go to third and short goal line situations. What types of stunts do they run? Do they line up any differently when those things are coming? And then just in general, looking at regular downs. So like 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 3, trying to get a feel for what the normal setup is so that when I'm in the game, can see when anything's off or some to signify or tip that something's coming.
Great. Eric, why don't we, can you talk to me maybe about a memorable play or moment throughout your career that really sticks out?
Yeah, sophomore year, the game, we call it, is when Harvard plays Yale. Last game of the year for both of us because the Ivy League doesn't let their teams go to playoffs. So that's the last game. It was at Fenway Park, sold out stadium. One of our running backs broke loose for a touchdown to maybe break the game open, but got the touchdown call back for what was perceived to be a profane gesture. Turns out later it was a finger wag he gave to the defense, the Mutombo finger wag. But you know, he got the touchdown call back and penalty flag. So we go back to the huddle. We're like, we need to figure this out. You know, we just went back out there and drove it, ran the ball every time, broke open the game, won it 45-27. That was probably my best experience because we just said, you know, we're going to take this over. We're not going to let that crap prevent us from winning this game. So
It kind of stinks though, man. Just kind of like the Mutombo finger wag and the referee just kind of, I don't know, saw it wrong. I mean, I suppose like in other cultures, maybe like a finger wag might be perceived as negative. I mean, I don't know. There are many taboos in other cultures. I mean, you could throw up a peace sign somewhere, and that means something different in another culture. So I don't know, man. People need to let you play. So
exactly.
So in my notes, I have that you were actually a really good track and field athlete in high school. Talk to me about that just a little bit.
Yeah, so growing up, wasn't really into track and field, did a lot of baseball, but then junior year, started trying to get into throwing and actually met with groups of guys from the area who would get together and throw. We went to different schools, but we would just come together and throw under this one Olympic trialist is how you'd say it. And he would kind of coach us all. We'd go there and I was never the best thrower in the group. So it was always me playing catch up because I hadn't been doing it for a long time. But then always went, and when we weren't competing against each other, just we're all winning our own meets and then getting to state. And there's 3 guys throwing over 60 feet and I'm coming in at 57.5 feet, looking a little bit like a scrub when it would be crushing other meets. But that was a lot of fun. And then discus, I think broke the school record my senior year state track meet. Had been really struggling and then figured it out and it clicked and had 3 PRs in a row. So shot record for me is 57 and 4.5. So that's some change. And then disc is 165 and a few inches, 5 inches. Yeah. So it was a really good experience. And I think it really taught me how to use my hips. And that's when I really felt something developing. And in learning how to use all the strength that I'd gained in the weight room, and then going into college, obviously, and cleaning really for the first times and using my hips even more. I think you can see it on my film too, is like something that really translated well for me on the field.
Great. Let's just take a moment and not talk about sports. I'm kind of just curious about, you know, the kind of person you are, you know, like under the helmet. What are some things that you're interested in? Maybe we can begin by, you know, just kind of telling me what your major's been there at Harvard and what you've been into there.
Yeah, so I major in psychology with a minor in Islamic studies and Spanish. And it's been interesting. It's just I took a bunch of classes that seemed interesting, and that's kind of those are kind of the degrees I fell out with. So in regard to psychology, I work in a social psych lab as a research assistant, and I've been doing that for a few years. and I love it. It's about decision making under Professor Dan Gilbert. It's awesome. And then with Islamic studies, it just kind of took an aesthetics and culture class and learned so much I'd never known before. So I've just been interested in that now for a few years as well.
Great. Let's just take the opportunity to give a couple shout outs to some people. Maybe let's just talk about some of your mentors, some of your coaches throughout the years. Tell me a couple of those guys that have really helped you along the way.
I think from high school, one of my co-head coaches, John Hanks, and then and the other co-head coach, Pat Krieger, were super helpful. And then another coach of mine, Joe Creer. Those three were super instrumental in shaping me into somebody who can take criticism, not in a negative way, but as something of respect, that they knew I could take criticism, and they knew I wanted to help the team be as best as it could be. And being one of the better players on my high school team, they knew that I needed to play well in order for us to do well. And so I learned really to take that criticism and build upon it, so that when I got to college, and every coach is going to criticize you when you get to college because it's a business. And I knew how to build on those criticisms when I got to college. And I've had 3 O-line coaches at Harvard. They've all been great. Jeremy Bandy, Andy Marino, and Keegan Kennedy. And I think they've all been incredible. My most recent one, Coach Kennedy, has been really, I'm going to say instrumental again, because that's the word for it, in shaping me as a person as well as a football player too. Just because of the positive energy he brings and the encouragement he gives us, and telling us, we can do it. Like, we can go to the next level. Because we have the skills. And so to take the criticisms and look past them and fight them and prove people wrong.
Great. Kind of along those same lines, tell me about maybe one of the guys on your football team that not everybody knows.
Yeah, so I think my left tackle, James Lee, came in as a 6'7", 230, 240-pound guy. So very skinny. I knew he was going to need to put on weight, and he did it right away. Just saw him eating in the lunchroom at all times, gained 40 pounds, 35 pounds that fall. And then he would always be asking me in spring, during spring ball and summer when we're already lifting, he'd say, hey, do you want to go get an extra lift in after this 5 a.m. spring ball? I'm like, not really. I kind of want a nap. He's saying, come on, let's get us better. So we do heavy squat, heavy bench after those long days of school at Harvard, practice. And I think that's what really bonded us, because we did it for a year and a half of just getting those extra lifts in and becoming stronger. And, I really think that led us to being able to rely on each other, because we both know that we've been putting in a lot of the work in the off season together. And it really just came to fruition when we would play so well and with a lot of continuity along the line, just having a good bond together.
Great. And it is always good to have someone to keep you accountable too. So it's just
Exactly.
great that you guys were able to grow together, really. So, hey, as we begin to wrap up, I always ask this question to everyone, and it's really just give me your why. Why do you play football? Talk to me about your motivation.
Yeah, I think growing up, my motivation came from my family. My dad was recruited to play at West Point. My uncle was recruited to play at Harvard. One of my grandpas is in the High School Coaches Hall of Fame in Minnesota. Other grandpa played 150s football at Navy. So that was a lot of the motivation growing up. And then but then I started to develop my own love for it and my own passion for it. And I wanted to do it for me, not just for other people. And I think freshman year of high school, I just did it because I was having fun. And I wasn't even thinking about trying to get recruited or playing college football. It was just, I love football, and that's why I'm playing. And I think that's when I play my best football. And that's, I think, why I started breaking out at Harvard. I was less worried about, I need to do this and that to get noticed, and more along the lines of, hey, I've been grinding with my friends in the off season. It's now time to have fun on the field and really show people what we've been working for. So I do it for myself, and I really do it for the people I work with during the year too.
Great. And very final question for you. Give me your last pitch to a professional team as to, maybe why they should sign or draft you, or I don't know. We can also throw that out to maybe some prospective transfer places too. Like why should these guys really take you? What would they be getting in a teammate?
Yeah, I think they'd be getting a teammate who's vocal, who can lead by example, and who knows what he's doing. He's a smart player, physical player, and he's always going to give you something reliable on film. He's not going to BS you or show you or tell you he's going to do something. He's going to show you he's doing it, and he's always going to be a dependable guy, and he's going to be strong in the weight room, be a vocal leader, and he's going to really bring it on game day.
Great. Again, Eric, I do have you listed as one of my top offensive linemen at the small school level. Not really a small school. I mean, it's Harvard. You should know where Harvard is. It's
Right.
got a long, illustrious history. So, Eric, thank you so much for your time. Again, this is Eric Wilson. He's an offensive guard out of Harvard, and really has a lot of great things to offer a football team. Again, 6'4", 310 pounds, very strong physical guy. Thanks again for your time, Eric.
Appreciate it, Jimmy. It was great being on.